Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. May I have your attention, please? We are going to take a start with IELTS speaking module. And first, I'm going to give you some instructions about IELTS speaking part 1. And after that, we are going to practice IELTS speaking part 1. So the instructions which I'm going to give you now, you have to follow the same instructions. And when you answer my questions, you got to consider the same guidelines which I'm going to tell you now. Well, as far as speaking part 1 is concerned, it's very simple and basic part. In this part, examiner may ask you some questions on a variety of topics. There isn't any single topic. There can be 2-3 different topics and they will ask you some questions on that. And by the way, by the time examiners realize that you are giving memorized answers, they will ask you variety of questions and then there isn't single topic. Every question will be from a different topic, because they want to break the pattern. They just want to see whether your answers are coming from here or they are coming from your language skills. Now you may cram very good answer, like people cram speeches in English. They don't know how to speak English, but they cram speeches in English. So if this is the case, then examiner will ask you more questions and you can be puzzled that why they are asking me more questions. 3 of my students recently, they had their IELTS exam in part 3. Examiner picked up several topics, not just one topic. And those topics were not related to the cue card. Usually part 3 is related to part 2. So you should be ready. Even in speaking part 1, first question is about different topic, second question is about another topic, third question is about another topic. The reason is that their speaking topics and their cue cards, which is speaking part 2, these things have been leaked. Leaked means if I am an IELTS trainer, I have 200 students who appear in IELTS exam. And I ask them after their speaking test, what did they ask you? I make a list of questions. So this has done with them. Now they are asking a variety of questions. So be ready for that very thing. Okay, as far as IELTS speaking part 1 is concerned, the first thing is you should know the 5 basic tenses. First, present simple or present indefinite. Past simple, future simple. These 3 tenses are the main tenses in speaking part 1 and they will ask you questions. Now, first thing you need to identify which tense is the question in. If the question is in present tense, answer in present. If the question is in past, answer in past and future, right? After this, the other 2 tenses which are important, one of them is present perfect. In speaking part 1, there must be a couple of questions in present perfect tense. And the last tense which is important for your IELTS speaking, that is present perfect continuous. In IELTS speaking part 1, there may be one question and that is from present perfect continuous. And whenever they ask you a question in present perfect continuous, question starts with how long. For example, how long have you been living in this city? How long have you been working in this area? How long have you been studying English? How long have you been studying in that university? So whenever they ask you a question with how long have you been, you will answer with I have been and ing form of the verb, right? And most of the students, they don't understand. They say, how long have you been living in this area? And they say, I am living in this area for 5 years. Now, by that time, examiners realize this guy doesn't have good knowledge of tenses and all that, and that will be one of the reasons for low bench score. Remember, examiner has 4 marking criteria. First of all, they are going to check your fluency. Fluency does not mean that you speak English very fast. Fluency means you speak without any breaks, without any pauses, and you don't repeat yourself. For example, I want to go there, then I will come back home after a year, and then I'll do this and that. So lack of, repetition of words, that is one of the reasons which is lacking fluency. So the first criteria is fluency. Second criteria is pronunciation. I advise you all, whenever you do IELTS listening, try to speak like them. I mean, when you're practicing listening at home, you can use your headphones and all that. And the way they talk, the way they speak, you just need to try and copy them. The way they speak, try to speak like them, that is going to be better. After pronunciation, the next important thing is grammar. And for grammar, I have told you there are 5 tenses. You must master these 5 tenses. It will cover not only your speaking. These tenses will cover not only your speaking, but also your writing module. And you have to learn passive voice of first 4 tenses as well. Present indefinite, past indefinite, future indefinite, present perfect. Because present perfect continuous is not commonly used in passive voice. So 4 tenses, active voice, passive voice, and once you learn active voice, passive voice of these 4 tenses, and the 5th tense also, and when you learn present perfect continuous, most important thing is use of since and for. Do you know the difference between since and for? Huh? We use since when there is a point of time. Since 2010, it's a point. Since January, it's a point. Since morning, it's a point. Since Sunday, thank you, water as well. Sunday is also a point. So whenever there is point of time, for that you're going to use since. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Okay, I'll grab that. Thanks a lot. Okay. After this, we have period of time. Period of time means duration of time. Now, 3 days, 6 hours, 6 months, 5 years. What is that? Period of time. So whenever there is period of time, for period of time you will use for. For 6 months, for 3 hours, for 1 day, for 7 days, for 25 years. So when there is period of time, complete time duration, there you're going to use for. And if there is point of time, since will be used there. Since January, since Monday, since morning. Like you can say it has been raining since morning. Okay? All right. So these are the tenses which are important, and this is grammar. The last criteria is vocabulary. As far as vocabulary is concerned, examiner will not give you good band score that you speak hi-fi English, and that hi-fi English is irrelevant to the question. Examiner will give you good band score if you use variety of words which are related to the topic. For example, they ask you a question, all right, how often do you eat out? How often do you eat out? Do you, which tense is it? Present simple, present indefinite or present simple. How often do you eat out? Now, they use the word eat out. If you say, you answer this question, commonly students, what do they say? I often eat out. How often do you eat out? I often eat out. I eat out with my family. Sometimes I eat out alone. I go with my friends to eat out. See repetition, eat out, eat out, eat out. This type of answer where there is a repetitive tone or repetitive vocabulary, this will bring you very, very low band score. So instead of that, if you say, well, I mostly dine out at the weekend, especially when all my family members are home, and we go to my favorite restaurant, and there we order our favorite food. So to answer your question, on every weekend, I try to go outside to have dinner with my family. Eat out, dine out, to have dinner, variety of words. This is what examiner wants to see. And when you talk about grammar, make sure you connect your sentences together. We call it compound sentences. In a 10-minute YouTube video, you can learn how to make compound sentences. Very, very simple. It's very simple. You just have to join 2 sentences together. It will become a compound sentence. I want to go to Canada. It is a beautiful country. Simple sentences. I want to go to Canada because it's a beautiful country. Compound sentence. Okay, in a 10-minute video, you can easily learn to make compound sentences, and compound sentences will bring you better band score in IELTS speaking and in IELTS writing. Now, are you all clear? 5 tenses, right? Active voice and passive voice of 4 tenses. I've explained vocabulary, fluency, pronunciation, and grammar. So these things you need to practice. Let me tell you, your IELTS band score is 90% in your own control. 10% any trainer can make the difference, right? And that 10% difference of the trainer will become even 100% if you work hard. If you don't work hard, If you just come to the class casually and go back home and you don't study at all and you throw away your books and you don't follow anything, then you will not be able to get your desired band. So at least in your life, I mean, I don't know your ages, we've got a variety of age group here. In your lifetime, if you just spare 1 to 2 months for IELTS, as I say this, say yes to IELTS and say no to every other thing for just 2 months. Like 4 weeks classes here, 2 to 3 weeks home preparation, and after 8 weeks you appear in your IELTS exam and you will see the best results if you work hard. And if you are still confused, you are looking for miracle, you know miracle? I saw on Facebook IELTS certificate for sale. Yeah, big fraud. That's the biggest fraud ever. Many victims of those fake IELTS certificates, they come to me with their story and all that. So there is no number 2 of IELTS. There is only number 1, struggle, hard work and all that. Okay, so give your 100% to IELTS, and then when you pass your IELTS, like just today before this class, I met one of my students who is leaving for Canada on 10th August. He got his visa. He was one of you. He was sitting here, Ali Zaib. Right? So if he can do it, even you can do it. Right? Now imagine 10th August, his flight from Lahore to Toronto. He's going to Toronto and he's going to study in a Canadian university. So this is the end result of your effort. Right? What we do, we look at the end result. We forget about effort. Yeah, we only think about end result. Canada, wow, whatcha. Effort, leave it, no problem. Okay, I'll just do it later. So first, you need to do the effort, then you will get the result afterwards. Okay, so you need to work very, very hard, follow all the instructions, and things are going to be fine, right? Thank you.